Once you get your release and they say you're released for departure, clearance void in 10 minutes.
Is that a takeoff clearance, AG?
No, please, for the love. No, it is not. And do not say, okay, cleared for takeoff.
Ready. Welcome to Opposing Bases Air Traffic Talk, an aviation podcast by two air traffic controllers and rated pilots who love to talk about flying, controlling, and everything in between. The show is for entertainment purposes only and should not be used as a substitute for your instructor, your supervisor, the FAA, the NTSB, or your CAT. The show will give you a better understanding of how things work in the National Airspace System and maybe even make you laugh along the way. Please welcome retired Army pilot Alpha Golf and first officer at Penguin Airlines, Romeo Hotel.
It's Wednesday, June 17th, 2026, episode 443. On today's show, we'll talk about the menu items for IFR clearances, hear a DPE point of view on a check ride Fantasyland, and answer more of your aviation questions. What's up, AJ?
Hello, everyone.
Happy Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Single episode Wednesday.
Yay.
How's your week going?
Monday was okay.
Mm-hmm.
I trained a lot. Mm-hmm. That's mostly what I did.
That's your job.
Yesterday, that is. Yesterday I get to work, and this construction project that has a main artery taxiway blocked, which is creating total havoc. That one little piece of real estate. So it's the parallel to the main runway.
What happened? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, what this has resulted in is if an aircraft, which the main turnoff for most airlines is closed.
Mm-hmm.
If they miss that one, they have to go down, turn left off the runway on 23 left, go back on the opposite parallel on Mike, and then cross the runway again to get to the terminal.
And there's a wingspan rule over there, too.
So, exactly. So then, if you put a 737 on Mike, you can't land another 737. So now, that's a whole thing you've got to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
If they miss Kilo 1, and you've got another plane on reasonable spacing on final, it's not going to work.
Mm-mm.
So you have to pay attention to that. So the solution was no arrivals to 23 left.
Okay.
Departures only. So we're not crossing the runway a bunch. We're not having to deal with spacing.
Mm-hmm.
All arrivals go to 23 right.
Hmm.
And we're not doing practice approaches. I totally lost my mind. I was so upset.
Yeah, that part is frustrating. You and I spoke about it last night. I shared my opinions. I don't know that makes sense to me, but to somebody it did. Good for you.
Some people it makes sense. You know how many times in this job, when people ask a question, the first thing we say is what? It depends. It depends, right? Well, this is a situation like that. Are we going to do practice approaches? I don't know. It depends. Who's working?
Mm-hmm.
Do they feel comfortable doing it? Are they okay with doing it? What's the traffic like? I think we could, instead of just saying with a blanket statement, we're not doing it for the duration of this project.
Which is, you said almost a year?
Sometime in the summer of next year.
Wow. Maybe it'll change with some input from controllers like you. Say, wait a second, can we make this dynamic? Because this is a pretty hard rule to follow for a year. This will change the way we work.
Now, supposedly in the winter, they're going to suspend. They'll get to a point where they can stop, open everything back up, and then resume. So there is going to be a period of months where there won't be anything happening. But yeah.
Well, good luck with that. Don't be quiet about it. I would speak up. If you haven't already, speak up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm back from back-to-back trips. I went to London, and my first landing in London after 56 trips.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Did it go? Was it good?
It was amazing.
It was okay, good.
It was great. So my first time being a flying pilot for the CDA and all the things, it went swimmingly. I was very happy with my landing. I walked away very happy. I looked at my logbook. I've been bunkie to London 48 times. I've been the flying FO 8 times, but only in the flying seat for that leg once. This last one. So
awesome.
Yeah. And then I had a domestic trip that got broken up by weather and ruined by cells over all of the departures out of a specific East Coast airport, which I'm sure you dealt with this week.
Oh, yeah.
The weather was a mess.
Yep.
We're gonna hear feedback on that. So a friend of the show, a listener, a provider of amazing feedback, followed me on that flight and listened to the audio.
Really?
All the ups and downs of that flight. So stay tuned.
Interesting.
The feedback is in the inbox. We're gonna talk about it on an upcoming show. So, have you opened up your smoked meat shop yet?
Not yet, but yes, coming soon.
Okay. When you talked about the automation of this device, can you leave it alone and drive away from the house?
I think so.
Put it in the middle of the lawn in case something goes bad.
Yeah, I mean, don't put it next to combustibles. Right. Unless, you need something burned down.
You need an act. We can't say that on a show.
Right. I mean, never mind.
Before we get in trouble for insurance fraud, shall we begin?
I just wanted to be clear. There's nothing that I need burned down right now that I would intentionally burn down.
I understand. Okay. I did not mean to sound like I was accusing you of that. Okay. All right. Let's get going. Since OB442, we have some new members in the Penguin Club. Sierra Mike, Juliet Papa, Romeo Bravo, Juliet Delta, Juliet Tango, and Mike Hotel. And we got a PayPal drop from Bravo Alpha, who shared an announcement below. You want this part again?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
All right. If Opposing Bases has become part of your weekly aviation routine, you can help keep the show going by joining us on Supercast. So much of the show is built around supporter questions, feedback, and real-world aviation discussion, and Supercast is the best way to be part of that conversation. Supporters get the show without the public feed delay. That's a 2-week delay. The full back catalog, private YouTube live streams, like those in the chat room are seen right now, our lovely, beautiful faces, bonus audio, and the supporter-only email. Your support is what keeps this show ad-free and community-supported and keeps the show going. Head on over to opposingbases.supercast.com to learn more and join the crew. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Review and many, many announcements today.
So many announcements.
All right, you did that part. I'll do the review again. How about that?
Okay.
All right. High 5 stars from Delta-3PO, D3PO. I hope I didn't say a word that, those games where people read.
Mm-hmm.
Started listening around OB343 as a private pilot and thought my iceberg was in great shape. I had a respectable waddle of penguins and was feeling pretty confident. Great use of the word waddle. That's plural penguins hanging out together.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well done.
Then AG and RH started auditing my iceberg. Turns out half my penguins were sick. Several were imaginary. A few were standing on thin ice. Through instrument, commercial, CFI, and double I training, the penguin population fluctuated wildly. Some were rehabilitated, some wandered off, and some metadramatic and exploding at the hands of a well-timed "it depends." Today, I'm a flight instructor continuing to tend to my iceberg while helping my students grow theirs. Opposing bases is required listening for anyone serious about penguin husbandry. Thanks for helping make aviation safer. One penguin at a time. Delta Papa at the NorCal Refugee Delta. Excellent review. I love it. Thank you for spending the time to do that. We have a few more in there. We have a couple more shows I think we can have reviews for, but they kind of waned off for a little bit. So if you have not left a review or want to update yours, feel free to do that. But it has to be in a fruit player so we can see it and make it on the show.
Right.
And 5 stars only.
Yes, 5 stars.
All right. You want the announcements? Some of them?
I want to say something about the review.
Okay.
The inclusion of, as you already mentioned, waddle and the word husbandry really, I'm not sure is a word we've seen in a review yet. I applaud it.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Excellent.
All right. Announcements.
I'm looking up husbandry.
Okay. Good. Emperor announcements. Number 1. Emperor Captain Tango Tango Echo is the newest FO at Penguin Airlines.
Congrats.
Congrats. Check ride complete and 737 type rated. Awesome.
Excellent. I know that feeling of awesomeness, and I hope you're enjoying it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Number 2, Supercaster Juliet Papa is officially the newest commercial pilot.
Congrats.
Congratulations. And upon calling for flight following using my usual OB-coded request, call sign, departure, destination type, altitude, the sky god on the other end of the radio blessed me with Archer 12345. Great call-up. Proceed on course. It was my first time receiving such high praise from a Supreme Galactic Aviation Commander. Well done. I haven't given one of those in a while. Somehow that information is just withering on the vine.
All right, everybody. There's a picture on our website of the cards that we had available at one point in the shop that show you the order to give your flight following. Check it out, opposingbases.com. Go to the follow page. Flight following instructions are included.
Yes, please.
Why don't you get that picture on the screen, and I'll do number 3.
All right.
Emperor Captain Whiskey Mike is a CFII. Congrats.
Congrats.
They sent a note, 3 check rides in 3 calendar months. I believe we've been celebrating all of these on here as well. I'm now also 3 for 3 when wearing my OB t-shirt, photo attached. AG's got it on the screen. Thank you. I will be putting it in a protective case with a sign that says break glass in case of ATP check ride. Thanks for all you do. If it's working, man, keep wearing it.
Yeah.
That's a great shirt. No longer available. It was limited edition. It's the army green with the OB logo on the front.
Yeah, with the new logo.
Mm-hmm. The new logo.
Yep.
Chinook and the 7.5. Yep. Excellent. You want number 4? And I'll get this picture up.
4. Mm-hmm. After all my clicking, Emperor Captain Juliet Kilo Golf is a CFI.
Congrats.
Awesome. It was a hard-fought training journey, as natural teaching ability is not a term that would come to mind in anyone's mind when they think of my skills or talents. Nonetheless, I managed to stumble my way through the 6-hour oral. Oh, my word. And 1.5-hour flight. After a decently stern lecture following the first lesson, I taught that if my teaching did not improve quickly, we would be finished early today. Wow.
Those are words you don't want to hear on a CFI check ride.
Oh, man.
Brutal.
But you powered through.
Mm-hmm.
Where was I? Fortunately, I was able to get it together, and we were able to finish the day without hearing the dreaded disapproval, and improved to 4 out of 4 on check rides.
Excellent.
Now what is an ILS again? On to double I, instrument instructor. Very good. Congrats.
We don't talk about that enough. I'll mention it real quick. When he said, now what's an ILS again? When you get in the weeds of instructor training, and you remember this too, I'm sure, you forget a lot of the things that you thought you would never forget. Like, one, how to fly an instrument approach.
Yeah, right. Right.
So give it a week or two and you'll forget all the things you learned in the CFI. So you have to stay current in both of those.
Is it still very MOI? Was that method
FOI?
of instruction?
Fundamentals of instruction.
Oh, they call it FOI. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Of course, the military's got to make up a new acronym. We need more of those.
Right. Maybe we called it FOI and I'm just dumb. I don't know.
Oh, wait. Are you specifically asking about the check ride or
No,
the
this
focus
whole curriculum on how do people learn, different types of learning, different types of teaching.
I feel like that's a checkbox you do pretty early. You get your FOI exam done.
Okay.
And then you're supposed to apply that in your lesson plans that you make. And when you're organizing a flight lesson that you're teaching an instructor, you're showing them all the things from the other seat because you're an instructor now. And
I don't want to do that.
Doing
I
a lot of
changed my
commercial maneuvers, if not all of them, from the other seat. So if you really loved Chandels, you're going to love them from the right seat.
Good. Awesome. You sold me.
All right, I get the last one. Emperor Captain Bravo Alpha passed their instrument check ride. Congrats.
Very good.
With the maturity that comes with being 60, this was a much more efficient journey than my long, drawn-out path to private in my late 50s when I was less focused. So long ago. Right. The hours spent listening to OB were enormously helpful, and I'm grateful for the unlimited edutainment. I love that word. At one point, the DP asked what I'd be squawking on lost comms. Channeling my favorite line from OB443, I paraphrased AG. Well, I was squawking 7700 because we only have one engine, but I'll switch to 7600. It brought some welcome levity to the oral exam. Also, I'm honored to accept my promotion to Emperor Captain. Congratulations on the check ride, and welcome to the Instrument Club, and thank you for supporting the show.
Yeah, awesome.
Do you remember saying that?
No.
You said something about our flight. Maybe it was before that or after it or a million times since. I don't know. But remarking that a single-engine aircraft is in a constant state of emergency.
I do remember that. Yeah, that's policy. That's just policy. But I don't remember this.
Sir, we noticed you're squawking 7700. Is everything okay? Everything's fine. Why do you ask? Well, you're squawking emergency. Oh, my bad. Excellent. All right, moving on. Play music. Timely feedback. I feel like this is part ranty, and I feel like you'd be really good at it. I feel like you're in the mindset for this one. This is from a DPE.
All right.
And I think you'll really appreciate it. And you may not have seen it before. I have.
I have not.
And based on our discussion about Fantasyland, I think you're going to love it. Go.
Good. All right. Number one, from Emperor Captain Delta Yankee. Hey guys, as all my coworkers and colleagues can verify, I'm a huge fan of the show and recommend it constantly. I wanted to offer a CFII Part 135 check airman perspective on the instrument check ride story from OB438, specifically regarding the circling approach discussion. All right, do you want to just remind people what that, briefly what that was about?
So the discussion was based on a couple issues that are coming up. One of them being a student's tendency to resort to habits that they've developed during training where they reach the minimum descent altitude, which is a non-precision approach, the lowest you can go, and you're supposed to circle to the landing runway at that altitude and then only descend from MDA when you're in a position to land the airplane. Well, one of the stories we heard, because they were used to doing it in training and the instructor was saying, all right, go visual, and there was other traffic, the applicant climbed back up to traffic pattern altitude to mix in with already practicing VFR pattern traffic at that airport and was given a disapproval for it because they climbed from the minimum descent altitude instead of descending when they were in a position to land. So, and we had a discussion about Fantasyland and where does that stop? How do you brief that? How do you prepare an applicant to understand when the fake weather we've introduced and you're taking off of your limiting devices? When do you mix in with the real world again? And how do you do that? Is that enough?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, thank you. All right. They continue. I attached 2 references, one from the Instrument Rating Airman Certification Standards and one from 14 CFR 91.175C. For the circling approach task on the instrument practical test, the ACS requires the applicant to maintain altitude within plus or minus 100 feet. No, not plus or minus, within plus 100 minus 0. So you cannot go below the minimum descent altitude. It's called the minimum descent altitude. Okay.
Until you're in a position to land the airplane.
Right. So plus 100 minus 0 feet of the MDA throughout the circling portion of the approach until the applicant is legally and operationally able to descend below minimums. Under 14 CFR 91.175C, one of the requirements before descending below minimums is that the aircraft is continuously in a position from which a descent to a landing on the intended runway can be made at a normal rate of descent using normal maneuvers. In most circling scenarios, that does not become true until the aircraft is turning final, established on final, or otherwise clearly positioned to make a normal ascent to the runway. I make my students and applicants verbally announce vacating minimums to remove ambiguity. Nice. I like that.
I really like that.
Removing the foggles simulates exiting IMC, but it should not be synonymous with or construed as completion or termination of a maneuver. As you mentioned on the show, no real-world scenario exists where a pilot would intentionally climb back into the clouds while executing a circling approach, and on a check ride, choosing to vacate the plus 100 minus 0 feet altitude restriction before the maneuver is complete constitutes an intentional exceedance of the ACS altitude tolerance, not just a momentary deviation. Okay. The FAA guidance used by DPEs gives evaluators some judgment when an applicant briefly exceeds a tolerance, recognizes it, and promptly corrects it without intervention. But that is different from an applicant intentionally departing the published tolerance or abandoning a maneuver before all steps in the ACS have been completed. In that case, the DPE would essentially be required to mark the maneuver unsatisfactory. Per the ACS, the circling approach check ride task is not complete until landing, missed approach, go around, or until the evaluator clearly communicates that the maneuver is being discontinued or modified. Traffic flow, ATC, runway availability, and other operational factors can definitely prevent completion of the maneuver as briefed. But in that case, the examiner and applicant should clearly communicate that the maneuver is being terminated or modified rather than assuming the ACS tolerances no longer apply. It is important for CFI and CFIIs to train their students in a way that sets them up for success on these check rides. Okay, you CFIs, are you listening? Practicing maneuvers in training without truly completing them to standards is sometimes a necessary evil in busy airspace, but that can also build some habits that will come back to haunt you when your nerves are chasing your penguins precariously near the edges of your iceberg during a check ride. A common error I see when administering check rides is vagueness and ambiguity from the applicant regarding the completion of a maneuver. To truly meet the standards and demonstrate good airmanship, all steps of the task must be completed, the aircraft reconfigured to its normal configuration as required, appropriate, and the applicant should clearly announce maneuver complete. At the very least, this will make the examiner's job easier and put them in a good mood, which is always a good thing. I hope this helps. Thanks again for the great work you both do. Cheers, Delta Yankee. Okay, so a little bit different perspective on this. We sort of poo-pooed the idea, right? That this sort of ambiguity, but Delta Yankee is kind of saying that this is just as much on the applicant to sort of announce when these things are happening and to know, I guess. I don't know. I still think that there does need to be briefed beforehand how approaches and how maneuvers like this are going to go when now we're blending into the real world, because it isn't just cut and dry on how this is going to work. You're not operating alone in a vacuum. I don't know. What do you think?
So something we didn't mention on the last show, and it made me think of it today just having you read this. If every applicant could read something, I mean, this was a very good briefing that I wish would be included in some of your training from your instructor and from the DPE, so that there is no assumption that I'm just going to do what I've been doing the whole time. This is the right way. This is the way I was taught. No. Let's review this real quick. We're not adding any complexity to this. We're actually going to simplify this for you until the maneuver is complete, and you tell me you're vacating minimums to land the airplane, and we say that this maneuver is done. We're doing this like we would a circling maneuver. This is the part we didn't talk about. It would be extremely awkward for an applicant to question this during the maneuver. And it would lead to a lot of doubt on the DPE side of whether or not the applicant understood what was happening. So take care of these on the ground and say, hey, just so we're on the same page, this is for all the applicants out there doing instrument work. Let's get on the same page. How do you want to proceed if there's traffic, if we're doing a circling? Or when we reach MDA and I have to circle, how far do we take this? Are we going to go all the way to the landing runway based on the wind and we touch down and then it's over? Make sure that's understood on the ground so you're not confused or not on the same page in the air. It would put an applicant at a disadvantage to ask that mid-flight. Okay. And big picture, zooming really far out on this, if there were VFR airplanes in an airport environment, the odds of anybody on an instrument flight plan choosing to do a circling approach to minimums and MDA, knowing that traffic was there, would be counterintuitive. You would break it off much earlier. I have the airport in sight. I want to cancel IFR. Then your VFR again. Start mixing in with these guys. Don't wait until you're at MDA. So that's we take the fantasy land so far that it exceeds any normal pilot's decision making, which is what creates the confusion. So make sure you work that on the ground. Hey, we're going into an airport that will have other traffic. It's beautiful outside. How do you want to do this safely? And if there's too much traffic, go somewhere else. Pick an airport that has an RNAV that you can circle that there's usually nobody hanging out at. That would be my advice, so that you don't have this extra bit of complexity at the end.
Right. I mean, think about if what you're about to do, you wouldn't do under normal circumstances. If you weren't on a check ride, you're not on an exam, you're just going into this airport. Would you behave this way?
Right.
No.
Not a chance.
And everyone would say, what are they doing? Right. So then now you're in a weird place. Like, why are we doing it? Then why are we doing it like this?
You made a point on 440 that you talked about. There's GA traffic and military traffic that do circling with the tower at Triad. And I had a momentary lapse of memory. I couldn't remember doing that much. Military I do, but not GA. And that could help solve a ton of those problems, because what you said is important. The controller will work out that conflict with traffic and put you in a position where you can reach your MDA, circle to the runway that they've told you to circle to, and it's on the responsibilities on the controller to keep the other traffic sequenced in front of you or behind you, but either way, giving you room to adequately perform an instrument approach to touchdown.
Yes. So you can't do that at Triad right now.
The kilo construction notwithstanding.
Right. I think that is a good option. I think it's underutilized by GA because maybe they're afraid to ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
The military does it all the time.
Yep.
And we don't care what altitude you're doing for the circle. In fact, we would sort of assume that you were going to MDA and going to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other thing about that, in a Charlie anyway, is that I can't determine where you turn your base, where you do your circle. I just am basically blocking that airspace for you to do whatever it is that you need to do.
For the controllers listening, that is a very important detail. If an aircraft is circling, let's say to an runway that's perpendicular, you cannot manage that downwind and base anymore.
Yeah. Circle southeast of the field, extend downwind.
Nope, that's not a thing.
You can't do that. Right.
No. You have one or the other. We need you to break it off. At pattern altitude, we're going to put you on a downwind. And maybe that's something you can work out with your instructor or your examiner. Like, hey, we're going to do it here, but they might have a little difference in parameters, so we're going to have to make up a different MDA. But I'm glad we got to say that. A controller should not be managing those turns.
Right. And on the pilot side, the trade-off for this, for doing it at a controlled field, where you're getting to fly the maneuver truly how it is meant to be flown, is that you may have to do a turn or two in holding to work the spacing out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Good.
Okay, so be ready for that. We will just stick you in the hold, run 6 or 7 planes in, and say, okay, now you can go do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's almost impossible. You're out there at the hold, you're 10 miles from where you're going to circle.
This is very hard to gauge.
Then you're going to enter sort of a downwind and a left base. And I have to figure out how to sequence traffic based on your procedure turn, based on where you start your circle. It's almost impossible to really.
If I was in something faster moving, I would much rather have that, though, than trying to negotiate with VFR pattern traffic that I just got plopped into on an instrument approach.
Yeah.
For sure.
That there's no good way for this to. There's because the good way to resolve it, like the feedback that we had, involves mixing back into pattern traffic like a normal person and failing your check ride, right? So that's not a good outcome. The other way of completing the maneuver is you not fitting into the real world of traffic, which seems silly to me.
Right.
Kind of a catch-22, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so don't forget, there's a third option. Go to the least frequented airport that has an approach that you can accomplish this. It may mean flying a little bit further, but in a perfect DPE Fantasyland check ride world, you don't have anybody to worry about. You can do the maneuver as if you're in IMC down to MDA. Oh, look, we broke out. Cool. Let's do this. That, to me, would be my first choice.
Right.
And if you're a double I planning this lesson with this DPE and trying to show your ability to teach, have a good plan. That's what they want to see, is that you can teach this stuff. Your plan matters. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for the feedback, Delta Yankee. I know we're going to have more comments on this because we kind of stirred the pot with our opinions on the circling and hoping that one day it goes away like the way of the NDB. Maybe that we might be a couple decades ahead of that, but you heard it here. We should get rid of this maneuver on a check ride, and we should adopt it in training and teach it, but we should embrace the both-way directional RNAV approaches to most airports in the NAS now, making this nearly... It's dead. It's dead. It's already dead.
So, on the East Coast, not only do you have straight-in RNAVs to almost everywhere, at the places you don't, within alternate distance, there's probably 8. Right. So if the one airport you're going to that has a weird RNAV, because it has an RNAV, I almost guarantee it does. Maybe it's weird, like
antenna.
Yes. But that's not even a circling. But let's just say there is. You have some weird RNAV alpha approach or something. Within your limit of gas, I promise there are other airports, a bunch of them, with straight ins.
Here comes
the idea that you would have to do this. You would have to get out of the clouds and land anywhere this side of the Mississippi is completely ridiculous.
Agreed.
Show me where I'm wrong.
Okay. You just opened up a can of worms.
Throwing that challenge out there. Find me the scenario where this has to happen. This is the airport we're going to, and I'm in a Skyhawk, and somewhere within, they're going to say, oh, well, I took off from Connecticut and flew to Arkansas just at the border of the Mississippi, and now I'm out of gas, and this is my air. Like, come on, don't give me that.
Right. All right.
That's all.
Moving on. Fancy jet music. All right, this week's show topic is brought to us by Emperor Captain Kilo. Send in some audio. We're going to take one of the comments made in this and sort of use it as a springboard to talk about the bigger picture in non-towered and towered airports with regards to IFR clearances. So I'm ready to hit play when you are.
Oh, I get so confused now because there's text, but that's a transcript.
I know. I didn't bold it. I'm sorry. I meant to bold transcript so that you saw that. That's my fault.
I'm ready.
1, 2, 3.
Hello, AG and RH. I gave AG top billing there. Kilo here with some feedback on OB440, where you're talking about jet guys just blasting off on runway heading and not really paying attention to the SID. I can say that one example in the Metroplex big airport, the Bravo, every single SID has a turn to a heading, and I would say pretty much every single jet guy is briefing that on takeoff. But I think more importantly, and you were talking about it with respect to uncontrolled fields, maybe even within the Bravo or underneath the Bravo, and my home drome there south of Metroplex. When you get your clearance, your IFR clearance on the ground, say the weather's not good enough to take off and get it in the air, they will give you 100% of the time, regardless of whether it's the north or south facing runway, you're going to get a heading, and you're going to get the phrase, enter controlled airspace heading 270. And so I don't know why maybe that's not more prevalent at other controllers who are giving clearances either over the ground or over a radio frequency, but that's just one example for where we come from, that if you're taking off out of an uncontrolled field anywhere around, or at least at ours south of Metroplex, you're getting a heading to the west every single time. Love your show. Talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Kilo. All right. I got this divided out into big picture here. So we'll focus the discussion today on towered and non-towered airports, both discussing what the pilot can expect and the options a controller has to get you on your IFR flight plan. Let me take care of the towered stuff quickly because this is much easier than the non-towered stuff.
Yep.
And then we'll kind of alternate down below. Is that fair?
Yep.
All right. So for a towered airport, it's pretty cut and dry. Pilots must call clearance, program your computer, GPS, FMC, FMS, whatever you call it, and comply with the departure clearance. And it's if it had a SID or a vector, an altitude, and a squawk. Controllers' hands at a towered airport are tied to SOP most of the time. The SIDs often dictate lateral and vertical guidance. So the tower controller will clear the IFR aircraft for takeoff with either a vector or without a vector, and the pilot is expected to comply with the SID issued by clearance delivery. Could have been 30 minutes ago, okay? The altitude will not be reissued by the tower controller, and the tower controller is your IFR releasing authority. We're good so far?
Yes. Yes. When you are cleared for takeoff, that is you are being released.
Yes. And finally, pilots should not, we have not heard this story, but I'm sure this has happened somewhere. Pilots should not depart VFR at a towered airport and then attempt to pick up their IFR after departing. That would be completely confusing for everybody. Why wouldn't you just get it on the ground? So
that has happened at Cigarette.
Really?
Yeah. It hasn't been, it's been a long time.
But the tower's closed right now, so they don't, you mean before
now,
that?
but this was years ago. I mean,
oh, wow.
But still, like, it's super confusing. Hey, we're off a Cigarette looking for our IFR. What?
What about the tower you just spoke to? You did get a clearance for a takeoff, right? Wait, the tower's open? Oh, no. All right, so that's it. That's all I really want to talk about with towered. Just make sure we're completely differentiating with non-towered airports.
Yeah, so, I think that's important. If there are SIDs that are listed at this towered airport and you are not assigned one, you are not to fly one.
Great point.
Okay.
I would guess 99.99% of the time that it would be made clear why you couldn't get a SID, and you will always get a heading then. The tower controller won't just say clear for takeoff if you were not given a SID. But let's keep in mind, the tower controller is now seeing the clearance that you were issued, whether it's electronic or paper. Yes, the paper strips still exist. A lot of attention on that lately. Jeez. They see where you're supposed to be going. They see the clearance you were given by grounder clearance several minutes ago, and they're clearing you for takeoff. At my base airport, airline traffic, they will not reissue you a heading. They will not reissue you an altitude. You're expected to comply with the SID you were issued. The end.
Right.
And they just say clear for takeoff.
Right.
All right. Let's start with the non-towered airport stuff. First and foremost, and you can get number 2. Pilots can determine if they want to depart on an IFR flight plan or depart VFR on a 1200 code and pick up the IFR airborne. Okay, those are 2 distinct paths.
And we've had entire episodes
Yes.
about that.
Either way, pilots must make their own runway determination based on winds and traffic. Pilots do that, not the controllers at the overlying facility. The pilots make that choice, okay?
Yeah, we get asked that all the time. What runway is in use? Mm-hmm. I have no idea.
It's not for me to say or assume.
Whatever runway you want.
Okay. All right, you want to get the first scenario, you're picking up IFR from the ground.
Okay. Pilots can reach ATC on the ground at some airports on a VHF radio. Some, but of our 17, 2 of them have an RCO, a remote communications outlet. But expect to use the phone number, which will connect to the overlying controlling facility, a TRACON or a center. Thank goodness for Bluetooth headsets. So that is a thing that we have noticed lately, is that you're connecting to your phone over your headset, and the quality of the phone call is so much better than you sticking your phone under your headset and having the plane noise in the background and everything. Yeah, it's so much better.
So back in the day, before the Bluetooth thing and before cell phones, you had to accomplish this on the phone. A landline in the FBO or a payphone, get your release time, run back to the plane, start it up, and make this window. So over the last few decades, and remember, AG and I learned how to fly in the later part of the 20th century, early 21st century. where this was a thing. You couldn't just do that on the phone. So on a Bluetooth headset. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Right. So pilots must read back the clearance. So you're talking to, let's just say you're talking to a TRACON. Mm-hmm. You call them. They answer the phone. They say, triad approach. That's usually how we answer the phone, almost like it's on the radio. Mm-hmm. You get read your clearance just like you would on clearance delivery.
Yep, it sounds the same. Cleared 2, climb, maintain, squawk this. It's
right. You then read back that clearance. Sometimes it's awkward because it's like there aren't these delineated pauses of keying the frequency, unkeying the frequency. Hey, now once I unkey and the frequency's quiet, this is your time to do the read back. Sometimes it gets like, because you're just on a phone call and he reads the clearance and the pilots will be like, is this when I do the thing?
So true. It's a weird call.
It is. Especially if there's like just normal talking, dialogue.
They can hear other voices in the room. It's like,
all right,
what's happening?
Yeah.
So you're calling a phone that's pretty close to the radar scope, and that person is most likely a certified in that room and can walk over, grab the strip, and see what's happening. But how does every phone call end when they call?
Usually hold for release.
Okay, why don't you tell us what that means? Often misunderstood.
Yes. Okay, your clearance is defining your route and altitude, lateral, vertical guidance. It is not a clearance to take off. It is not a clearance to start flying. It is not an IFR release. It's just your clearance. Okay, think about it. Think like at a towered airport. Once you're on the ramp, you call clearance, you get your clearance. You wouldn't just taxi out and take off without talking to anyone else.
Exactly.
Right?
That is a great comparison. Correct. Oh, no, they gave me my clearance. I'm blasting off.
Right.
No, dude.
Please don't do that.
Okay, good. All right.
If you are not ready, so you called on the phone, let's say you're in the FPO. Mm-hmm. You're just trying to get your clearance so you can look at the route. Maybe there's weather. You need to kind of blend all of that together and figure out if this is going to work. Then you get in the plane, you taxi out, then you call back and say, we're ready to go. We're number 1. This is the runway we're departing, from which we are departing.
All right. I'm the controller that picks up, and I say, you've told me you're ready. You've done your run-up. You've done all the things. You're ready to blast off. Okay? I'm the controller that picks up, because now you're going to call again. This is why Bluetooth is awesome. Hey, we're ready for a release. That person who picks up the phone is going to walk over to the controller that works that airspace. Hey, they're ready. And barring some weird scenario where there's already an inbound IFR, that could happen, or it's just too congested in that area, the controller is going to look at it and say, released 3,000, and give you a short window, 3,000 or 4,000, whatever. I'm just making up an altitude. Yep. Give you a short window. The person on the phone is going to say, you're released, clearance void if not off by, and that time should be, I would say, no more than 5 minutes from now. You're void if not off by then. They're giving you 5 minutes to get off the ground. Is that fair?
Yeah, 5. I give 10 a lot.
Okay.
Because I don't know. Maybe they're not.
Okay.
Maybe they're, I just, for pattern work, okay, I want to make sure I'm not skipping ahead here, but.
There could be reasons why you may be stuck on the ground for a couple more minutes.
Yes. Yes. And you do have it in here. Okay. This is not. Okay. Once you get your release and they say you're released for departure, clearance void in 10 minutes.
Is that a takeoff clearance, AG?
No, please, for the love. No, it is not. And do not say, okay, cleared for takeoff.
That is not what they're saying. They're saying you're released.
There might be someone on short final. I don't know. It is not a towered airport.
So what does the pilot have to do? You need to go back to CTAF. You got your release. They gave you a 10-minute window. They're awesome. You're ready to go. They gave you an altitude. It's happening. It's happening. Okay. Pause. You have 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and if you
slow
don't get
down.
off the ground, guess what? You just call them back and say, I didn't get off the ground in time. There was too much traffic. And they're going to give you another 10 minutes.
Right.
It's not the end of the world. So take a deep breath. Go back to CTAF. Make sure you're not the only person in the world. I know it's hard for some pilots to believe that they're not the only one in a scenario, but there's probably other customers around.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's one on final. Okay, I'll wait for them. So that's why the controller gave you time. There has to be some built-in room for you to mix in with the real world.
Right.
Okay, I don't make it. I already talked about that. You'll get a new window if you don't make it. What if they don't call you and it's past their time? What is the controller assuming happened?
Well, I mean, a lot of times we just assume the worst, right? And so if you don't call back and tell us, hey, I couldn't get off, there was traffic or whatever, we're just going to assume you ran off the runway or something, you crashed.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to send somebody to go look for you.
We are protecting that airspace for your departure. And when that time comes where you're not airborne, the assumption isn't that you're breaking the rule intentionally. The assumption is, okay, something bad happened.
Right.
We are essentially starting search and rescue at that point.
You're going to hear released, you're released now, or you're released at a time, void at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Usually at the end, what should be at the end, and I'm just as guilty of not including this frequently, is, clearance void if not off by the top of the hour. If not off by the top of the hour, advise approach no later than 5 after the hour of intentions, right? So we're putting a time limit to this. How long are we waiting?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is, one, I don't want to have to block off the airport forever. Two, something might have happened to you. And we're not going to wait forever to figure that out. And we're going to send people to look, to try to find out what happened to you. So just because you don't hear the part at the end, which controllers sometimes leave out, if not off by, call us back within this, you need to call back.
Yes.
If you miss your time
Mm-hmm.
and you're okay, you need to call back.
Yeah. You know what, pilot? Set a timer. You just use your phone to talk to them. Set a timer. That's the end of that timer is your void time. If that thing beeps and you're still on the ground or haven't taken off, which, by the way, that's your requirement, is to get airborne in that window they gave you, then you need to immediately call them. Stop everything you're doing and call them. That's the expectation.
And do not take off.
No, don't
If
just
you
say, I
miss
missed
your
my
void-
time.
Yeah, don't. Please don't.
All right, so once they're airborne, they call you, then what happens?
Then we go through the process of radar identification. Usually it's an ident. And, they say radar contact, and we want to know, and we want to verify your altitude. That has to happen at the beginning. If you call up, hey, we're off a coat factory through 1300, climbing to 3000, and the controller says ident, climb and maintain, do not be surprised if they come back with, say, altitude leaving because they missed it. There was other stuff going on. People were talking in the Tracon, whatever else was happening. Mm-hmm. And you said 1300. It was like the first thing you said. They're probably not going to either remember or they just didn't even hear it. If you're intentional, the Sky Specimen guys out of Coat Factory, they're very good about somewhere in the clearance process, if they're picking it up airborne or if they've got it on the ground, hey, we're off a Coat Factory, climbing to 3, direct to this fix. I say ident, climb and maintain 2000. They say climbing to 12,000, leaving. They're very intentional about including that, which we love.
Yep.
So take that for what it's worth, but be intentional. We are leaving 3,100. Because that has to happen. Your mode C has to be verified.
Right. And it's just a controller making sure that what they're seeing on their scope matches what you're seeing on your altimeter. It's very important.
Right. Yep.
All right. Let's go into VFR pickup.
Okay.
Guide me along here. Stop me if I missed something here. So the pilot must be able to maintain VFR conditions prior to and during the wait airborne for their IFR clearance. They elected not to get their IFR on the ground. They do want to pick it up. They blast off on a 1200 code, again, responsible for runway selection, determining when it's safe to take off, mixing in with pattern traffic, exiting the pattern properly. You are a VFR airplane. You do not get special treatment. You don't get dispensation from following FARs. You are a VFR airplane trying to get out of a non-towered airport, and you've got to make the right decisions to do that. Now you're airborne. You already have a flight plan that's sitting next to the controller. That's what happened 30 minutes prior to your ETA. I'm sorry. Your proposed departure time. I said the wrong acronym there. 30 minutes prior to that, the strip came out. It's sitting next to the controller. You should know what control frequency you're going to use. That's in the approach charts. It's in the chart supplement. You call ATC Airborne, Triad Approach, November 123 off of Coat Factory. I'd like to pick up my IFR to insert airport name. Then what do you say? What do? You heard that. You see this little VFR tag off of Coat Factory. What happens on the controlling side?
I look over at my pile of proposed strips, which are usually over to the right.
Uh-huh.
I find yours. I give you the code.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'll squawk 1, 2, 3, 4. And I did that. Now what?
I observe the code. I say radar contact. If it's clear, blue, and a million, I issue you your clearance right then.
Mm-hmm.
Clear to XYZ as filed, climb and maintain 5,000.
All right, I read it back. All right, XYZ is filed, maintain 5,000. We're leaving 3,100.
If you said that, if that's how you wrote your clearance back, I say thank you for giving me your altitude. Read back correct. Triad altimeter is this.
Okay.
If you didn't read back the clearance, I say, or you didn't read your altitude back, I say read back correct. Triad altimeter is, say altitude leaving. Now, my thought process is you're messing with the altimeter and say altitude leaving. It's the same place, unless you have an FMS where you have to type it in, but even ours were...
My classic airplanes have the dials.
Right. The F model didn't. You had to go type in the altimeter setting to the FMS. It was really
fancy.
Dumb. Yeah, they need to get rid of that.
All right, you mentioned an important key there. Controllers are aware of the weather. They see it. They've been working with it all day. They walk from their cars to the Tracon as well. So if it's great weather, you may often hear clearance pretty early, pretty low, below the minimum vectoring altitude. If it's questionable, you can expect to have your clearance withheld until you're above an IFR minimum vectoring altitude. If you're unsure of that MVA, you can either ask on the phone when you call, or this is just going to get you in the right ballpark. I don't know if we've ever said this on the show. Look at the final approach fixed intercept altitude for the ILS to that airport or a nearby airport. You're going to be in the ballpark. So if it's 2,800, the MVA down there for Triad is 2,500. You're close enough. So when they say cleared to, they are making you IFR, and they're trying to comply with the rules at the same time. And if the weather's questionable, they're going to make sure that doesn't happen until you're above the minimum vectoring altitude, which is basically their floor for when they can clear the IFR airplanes. Did I get too general on that?
No, but let me just say this. If you are doing that math, okay, can we get our clearance? Can we do the MVA?
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to stop and get it on the ground?
Amen. Yes.
Stop doing that. Don't do that. Don't. If you're like 200 or 300 feet,
yeah, no.
Don't do that.
And I listed that here. So if you're under a Bravo or near heavy IFR traffic, pilots should have an alternate VMC VFR escape plan. In other words, your urgency to pick up airborne is not ATC's priority. So you've made a choice. I'm going to depart VFR and fly in the direction I want to fly in. That choice is not a required solution from the controller. It could take a minute. And if you're not able to maintain solid VMC, please just go back and get it on the ground. Stop playing games in the air.
Right.
And
or scud running out from under the Bravo into a place.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do
that. So, and that's my last point here. Pilots should not fly into IMC while waiting for their IFR clearance. You're violating VFR cloud clearance rules. You're still VFR until you hear cleared too. Are we clear on that?
Right. I think, yeah.
Okay. All right. This is when we're going to get into the real quick. We'll talk about the meat and potatoes of the question that, or the idea that Kilo presented in the audio. Controllers options for the pilots at non-towered airports. And I did sometimes and always here. How about that? We'll go back and forth.
I like that.
All right. I'll do A. Sometimes you will hear cleared as filed. So you got your clearance on the ground. This is pretty much for on the ground. Maybe I did a little bit back and forth, but you got your clearance on the ground. You may have heard cleared as filed with an altitude to maintain initially, which is always going to be above the MVA, and it'll usually below conflicting traffic. So out of Coat Factory, cleared to blah, blah, blah airport, maintain 3,000. AG may have 4,000 traffic that he knows is going to be there, so he's stopping you above the MVA, which is 2,500, and below any conflicting traffic. 3,000 is a great target altitude for most satellite airports in our airspace.
So you said it's always going to be above the MVA. It might be at the MVA.
True.
It needs to be at or above the MVA. Yeah.
Thank you. In the absence of an obstacle departure procedure, which we're not going to talk about today, the pilot is expected to begin a turn at 400 feet above the ground in the direction of their first fix. This is, again, if you got as filed. That's what as filed implies. They saw the fix on your flight plan. It's in a direction that doesn't hurt them. It doesn't conflict with any other airspace. They're expecting you to make that turn. So you should not fly runway heading and wait for a vector from ATC. When they have your clearance in front of you, they gave you as filed. They're expecting you to move in that direction, and that begins at 400 feet with a normal standard climb rate. I don't want to get into the weeds on that just for today's show, but now you get B.
Okay. Always, controllers must block the airspace. Okay, whether that's through coordination with an adjacent facility or in their own head at a satellite in the smack in the middle of their airspace, where they're not worried about it flying into another facility's airspace, but they're worried about it flying into another plane. If I release you to 3,000, I can't put another plane at 3,000 where you might be.
Period. End of story. That's it. You're using altitude.
Right. So a plane entering this area, what is that area? Okay, AG, what is this area? Is it 5? Is it 10? I don't know. It just has to be, I have to have time. If you come off climbing to an altitude that is shared by another airplane, I have to have time to separate you if you don't call me. So I have to be talking to that other airplane, and I have to have room to turn them and still maintain 3 miles.
Yes.
What is that? Well, I don't know. Are you a jet? Are you
aiming
going to
towards
climb
my
out at
traffic?
60 knots?
Yeah.
Right. It's more of a feeling on my part. So it's not a defined radius, but I have to block it in some way. This is why controllers aren't going to give away the airport for all the afternoon. Okay. Oh, you're not sure when you're ready? Oh, that's fine. You're released. Void at 3 this afternoon.
My shift ends at 2, so you're void at 3.
Right.
No, that won't happen.
Void at the end of my shift. Right.
All right. Sometimes, this is in the audio. Sometimes controllers may choose to issue enter controlled airspace heading blank, pick a heading. I think this is verbiage that even a very educated, pilot-savvy attorney would struggle to explain, especially at an Echo airport all the way to the surface, okay? It's in the book. It's legal phraseology, enter-controlled airspace heading. This is my overall, if this is too conservative, tell me. Pilots should comply with this heading when terrain, obstacles, and traffic allow.
Yes. Okay. The first time I was issued this instruction was on a mist. Okay. We were doing a practice approach. They said on the go, enter-controlled airspace heading. And I'm like, okay, whoa. Okay. So then I had to think, where does controlled airspace start? Okay, 700. I have to be on this heading by 700, and it's like 180-degree turn.
Right. Which
So
is
I'm thinking,
impossible
wow.
mathematically. Yeah.
Like, there's no way. We're going to have to turn so hard. So that's exactly what we did. We're in like a 60-degree.
Remember that time we almost died doing steep turns in IMC? Oh, it was so fun.
It wasn't IMC. But I was so confused. Like, what?
It's verbiage that's in the book. That's why controllers will grab it. You know, instead of saying fly heading, because that can be construed as a vector below the MVA, it's like, what are we doing here? Are we legal with this? Well, what if my heading was on course was the same direction? It would have been fine then to say as filed. So this gets into the weeds a little bit too much. But let's just talk about that. When would you issue that in triad airspace? And maybe it's customer specific or jet versus a prop, proximity airport. When do you use that enter-controlled airspace heading phraseology?
Yeah, we use it a lot at boundary airports or near boundary airports where I can't give you as filed because you'll go straight into the arrival corridor to Metroplex.
Excellent point. That's a
cannot
bad
do
place
that.
to be.
You can't go that way. So we say it all the time there. We turn you northwest or southeast bound to parallel the boundary with Metroplex. And that is exactly what we say. Enter-controlled airspace heading 320.
And the reason they're doing it at Metroplex, your airport is southeast of the airport. They're putting you underneath finals to the north-south runways or underneath departures to the north-south runways, from the north-south runways. And they're getting you away from downwinds. They're putting you in a place that makes the most sense for them. So when you blast off, I want you flying westbound. They're going to cap you. It's probably at 3,000 or 4,000 feet. I can't imagine it's much higher than that. Before they radar identify you, determine what conflict exists in that area, and then get you along your way. So there's a reason they're doing it. It's not for funsies. They're putting you in a place that makes sense for them and their traffic. I did not like doing it unless there was a compelling reason. And I don't know if it got in my head early as a trainee. I must have been asked, like, hey, how do you know that heading's not going to prang up an antenna or something? And I didn't really have a good answer. I didn't know. I don't know. But the more you work it and realize, like, wait a second, if their first fix was in the direction of that and I said as filed, it's the same thing. I'm putting them in a direction that's, so it's, this is a good reminder. It's on the pilot to do an ODP if there's one that's in there for that airport and for you to determine when it's safe to turn. If we give you an enter-controlled airspace heading, it should be around 400 feet that you're getting in. The enter-controlled airspace, you may already be in it. So be it. I don't think most controllers even care. As long as you're turning in that direction of when that happens, don't fly out runway heading for 5 miles and say, all right, now I feel like it's okay.
Yeah, right.
If you feel like you can't comply with that enter-controlled airspace heading pretty quickly, let them know when they issue your clearance. Hey, it might be a minute till I can turn that direction. Do you have an alternate heading? Yeah, okay. Thanks for telling me. Yeah, I don't want to get too much in the weeds. Maybe I was just a scaredy cat about it. I didn't like to do it. I felt like I was breaking the rules, even though that the phraseology is in there. I just didn't feel comfortable justifying the heading. And if they hit something, I don't know what my defense would be.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
You already talked about this. Blocking with nearby facilities may alleviate the need for a heading. In jet situations at Southwest Racetrack going southwestbound, it would not. All that would do is postpone your problem to like a minute later. You're going to have like 4 phone calls to make. So northwest is the easiest way to get you some altitude and flash you to the center. which is why I said jets are the hardest to work. At least in my experience in Triad, those, Southwest flow off of the further Southwest airport they created a problem. You had to have them in handoff status pretty quick. You didn't have any room to climb underneath the arrival gate because our airspace gets shrunk over there in that corner. So a controller should be issuing that heading to give themselves time to accomplish all these things: the phone calls, the coordination, the flashing, radar identification, before you prang into a boundary that they're often going to laugh at you. If you say, hey, block all the Northeast airspace going into Metroplex, they're going to say, unable. What do you mean?
Yeah, right.
We're not shutting this off for you.
Yeah. Oh, you want it up to 12? How about 16? We'll just give the whole thing away.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? We're going to tell everybody on this arrival from the Northeast. They've been in the air since Boston. They can wait just for you.
Yeah. You know what? That's approved if you call Atlanta Center and tell them to stop the Chesley arrival.
All right. The last comment on here, or the last category of options for controllers to issue at non-towered airports, we talked about cleared as filed. The enter controlled airspace heading is option 2. And the other one is they can't issue you a SID. I don't remember doing that at our airspace, but that is common in some non-towered airports around busy airports, is a SID. And you mentioned that in your audio.
Right.
If you do get a SID and they release you, a few minutes later, you're back on your phone, you're at a non-towered airport, your clearance included a SID, it is incumbent on the pilot to comply with the SID, lateral and vertical guidance that's included. Okay? The controller's expecting you to be on that when you call them.
Do we say this for as filed also?
Yes. Did we say
we
what
reiterated
specifically?
that.
Okay.
Unless you're issued runway heading.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't be runway heading.
Okay.
Okay.
Specific to your feedback, the westbound heading, it must have some immediate solving of a problem. It's getting you underneath in the direction of maybe less congestion in that area. Maybe they have less downwinds on that side.
Yeah. We're doing that right now at Cigarette because there's no tower. They're calling for release. We just turn them away from Triad. Mm-hmm. So we're giving them a 270 a lot of the times off of there. Just go away from Triad.
Right. It gives you time to build in a solution and get them moving. And this is where pilots get frustrated. I don't want to fly that way. I'll just pick it up in the direction I want to fly VFR. Okay, you're still presenting a challenge and a traffic problem for the controller. Being VFR doesn't alleviate that. You're still metal flying through the air. So keep that in mind. And that's my last point on here. If you're attempting to pick up an IFR airborne underneath a Bravo or near finals going into a Charlie, be ready to be moved in a direction that works for the controller. It may not be an immediate clearance. You have to be patient. And part of that is your VFR altitude and weather knowledge in the area so you know you can get out of there safely. Mm-hmm. What did I miss?
No, nothing. That was a great discussion.
Thank you, Kilo, for the audio. Hopefully we didn't get too deep in the weeds and lose half our audience in that. But it is complicated, and it's been a while since we reviewed all that. So,
yeah, I just think if you're not sure what an ODP is, you need to go, and you're an IFR guy, you need to go figure that out. Mm-hmm. And you need to look at if the airport you're departing, a non-towered, has non-standard takeoff minimums. Okay, so that's in the front of the approach plate. Look, I don't know how it presents on ForeFlight. I'm sure it's in their procedures thing.
It is.
Okay, so just be familiar that those may exist. You may, like, the standard instrument departure of 400 feet and start your turn is not always the case. Mm-hmm. And just be aware that that is a thing that you may have to comply, or you may want to comply with prior to making this turn that ATC is. And that's what we're expecting. Not if the floor of Echo of controlled airspace starts at 700 or with the little indent around this non-towered airport, we're not expecting the second you hit 700 AGL to start turning. If you have to comply with some other terrain obstacle avoidance, you do that.
My dissertation on ODPs was back in the 160s zone in OB land. Go check it out.
Yes.
Anything else?
No.
Excellent. Moving on. Feedback time.
Feedback.
All right, there's 2 of these. I'm going to fly through this one, and you're going to get number 2. How about that?
Okay.
From Emperor Captain Kilo Delta. This week I received my commercial pilot after 2 reschedules and a discontinuance. Congrats.
Very good.
Airplane ownership has its challenges, and boy, did they show up. All right, there was a lot of text I had to take out of this for time here. After a long delay for everything like TPs, broken planes, they continued. The day came, and so did the winds. I knew we were going to be challenged. I knew they would be challenging, but after finishing the ground portion, they were workable. So we jumped in the plane. We finished all the maneuvers, and we're headed back to land. We called the tower and then told us, continue straight in for runway 17, wind 110, 19er, gust 27. All right, that's a pretty steady crosswind for any GA. They continue. Crap. I knew I would need to discontinue, but I also had to get my plane on the ground. A week later, winds were 340 at 6, 9 minutes in the air, and we finished the check ride and walked away with my new certificate. Well, again, congratulations, and you went through some delays. That is awkward. We're going to discontinue this check ride for the winds. Okay, cool. So we got to land.
Right.
Now what?
Yeah.
All right. A couple of months ago, I was playing volleyball and my ears started pinging with some verbiage I was hearing over my shoulder. I started to listen in and eventually entered the conversation with this woman talking to another guy about the hiring window that was opening up. She was trying to convince him to apply, and I started asking questions about if she was a controller. Turns out her husband was a controller. He had been working in the Big Apple Center, and they had moved a couple of years back to the Sodium Center. I don't know how it came up, but she mentioned that his initials had to be changed when he moved. Excuse me, what? Did I hear you right? She confirmed that while my gyroscope may have been tilting off its axis, it was necessary at times to change initials to not have overlap in certain areas, and they could be chosen at random. Is this something you've talked about before? If not, you've got some explaining to do. We have not. You cannot have duplicate in our facility because it's considered one area. A center's area, maybe there's 5 or 6 in a center building. Controllers in the same center area cannot have the same initials.
Right.
The attorneys would hate that. You're putting your initials on the audio every time you take a position. And even though it's tracked electronically, this is really a hangover from years ago when they were doing it on paper. And it's silly, but it makes sense. Everybody has their own ID.
Yeah. Yeah, areas at a center are like their own little facility.
Yeah. Right. So there's only one AG, there's only one RH. And if you move into the facility and you're like, hey, I want AG or RH, first we're going to say those are awesome initials, but 2, we're going to say nice try.
Obviously, they're taken. Obviously.
Nice try. Those are reserved. Mine was retired, wasn't it?
Sure.
Nobody can live up to my standard. Anyway, instead of parallel universes, the endless possibility of parallel control facilities began to take shape in my mind as slightly different AG and RH best friends, center controllers. This AG flying commercial helicopter operations, having recently retired from ATC, the other RH, a former ag pilot, maybe, now telling us about his new center trainee messing with their local approach control by deleting flight plans out of the system for student cross-country IFR flights. Who are you two, really? Do we even know? Do you have initials you wanted? What initials will be your first choice? Can you change them later? How often? Every quarter or a year? You can. We had people in our facility change them.
Yeah, you can change them.
One of them did it a couple times just to mess with everybody before they retired. Remember
Yes.
FM?
Yes.
Yeah. Why are you doing that? There was nobody conflicting with it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Do super controllers initials get retired at the end of a well-worked career and hung up on a flight strip like a basketball player's number on his jersey? Don't tell me that this isn't true. I thought that happened with mine, AG. Mine is hung, and it's on a jersey, okay? It's hung from the ceiling of the Tricon. At least that's how it is in my head.
Okay.
Will the real AG and RH please stand up? Thanks for all you do, whoever you are. Sincerely, the real Kilo Delta. Yeah, if AG goes to another facility, and those initials are taken, what would be your first choice for a non-AG initials?
Well, that other person would have to be removed. Or they would have to change. That's just not. In fact, I don't allow neighboring facilities to have my initials. Someone at Mountain signed off the landline the other day as AG. I immediately rekeyed the line. What did you just say? You can't have those. You're going to have to change. Yeah. I don't know. What would I do? So the military thing was the first and last letter of your last name.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they did it.
Our trainer, Papa Yankee, was in that boat, and she kept those initials when she came to Triad.
Right. Even after a name change.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Just you get used to it. It'd be hard to change your initials, and I'm sure that people who do late in their career have a hard time adjusting to that new reality.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't change now, though. It's like it's my whole, persona. What would we do?
I don't know.
Can't be AG on the show and some other schlep at work.
We have to redesign everything.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on your check ride, and thanks for the question about initials. That was fun.
Yes.
All right, you get the last one.
Number 2 from Emperor Captain Romeo Kilo, RHNAG. Greetings and salutations. A while back, I sent a question about what tools the FAA could give controllers to make their job easier. It was a great discussion that was had. Recently, the FAA has been talking about using AI as a tool to help out. That was never brought up in your discussion, nor did I think to ask about that. So since I have been seeing it in the news lately, what are your thoughts? This is funny because just last night we were discussing this. Also, sorry, I know your Tracon. I know your Tracon, nor will any Tracon have CPDLC due to the nature of the job you do, but center controllers rock. Below is a pic of a message I got from a center controller in the middle of the night. Just remember, center controllers are people too. With you rolling inbound, Romeo Kilo, LOL.
That is this. I have it up on the screen now. It's a free text message. Go ahead and
Excellent.
read it. Sorry.
Yeah. Free text. Have a great night. Response, Roger.
Okay, let me talk about that response.
Okay. It's probably just an automated.
Yeah, we don't have a choice.
You can't type in.
I tried to do a response free text because they can write words and send them to us.
Yeah.
Okay, so this may come as a surprise to many of our listeners. But some of these planes were invented before text messaging, before the internet.
Right.
This is gee whiz stuff.
Yeah.
So a controller is sending you a text on your computer, and this is a free text, says have a great night. Well, I tried to respond one night in free text. If they can do it, why can't I?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I write back?
Mm-hmm.
I immediately got shut down. The system said unable. So all it lets us send back is either Wilco, if they give us an instruction, or Roger. It's like, okay. So we look rude. Center controllers listening, we can't write words there. I would try to respond if we could.
Yeah.
Denied.
Yeah. This sort of goes back to the controller with the atrocious settings policy of why a controller can tell a pilot to stand by and not the other way around. I won't go into it. Maybe we'll save that for another day. But as far as AI, my thing was, with the capabilities that are out there right now, you could have an AI assistant at the position that was maybe hooked into an iPad or something that you could just push a button and speak in the command. So you push a different button, you say, show me the approach plate for Coat Factory RNAV 6. Boom, it's up. instead of now, I don't have to go find it. I'm not clicking around in MS-DOS.
Mm-hmm.
What's the weather at this satellite?
Mm-hmm.
Think of the endless possibilities of things.
Oh, I mean, if it was just wired into, it heard everything you said. You didn't have to ask it. It just knows. Like, okay, he's about to get. He just asked the person if they have the weather at Coat Factory. All right, let's throw up the available approaches. We'll show them the weather so they know what it is. Oh, that would be amazing.
Right. Oh, there's an inbound to Coat Factory. Here's all the information you could possibly need. Or, what's the on-course heading from Coat Factory to somewhere in Tennessee? Show me it on a map.
Yeah.
How does it conflict with my boundary?
How many airplanes are operating in the pattern over there? That's information it can tell you. Oh, there's endless possibilities.
Think of it.
It would be pretty amazing.
We could get rid of soups.
Careful. They are very important, AG.
They are very important.
You should not say anything about them.
I'm not. That was just a joke.
Okay, let me put in my negative Nelly on this.
Okay.
I would love it. I really would.
Yeah.
It should not be confused with using AI in its current form as a decision-making tool in terms of telling you how to work your airplanes. That still has to come out of a human brain.
Right.
I'm not at the point where I'm so confident with AI that, hey, what should I do here? I cannot imagine the back and forth.
Yeah, because how many times have you asked a question, they give you the obviously a wrong answer, and you go, "Are you sure?" And it's like,
oh, you're right. I made that up.
Yeah, whoops. Yep, sorry.
Yeah.
Turn right heading 140. Are you sure? No. Nope, that was a terrible heading.
Nope, it's the one you used last week. I thought it would work again. But I think the ideas you came up with are really good. That would be awesome. So a digital assistant that could respond immediately to your need for information and help. It would help everybody, controllers and pilots, I think, if it worked and it was fast.
It would have to be fast.
Mm-hmm.
Just faster than me clicking through menus.
Right. On a DOS program that was designed in the early 80s?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. With floppy disks, but the hard floppy disk, not the old school floppy.
Yeah, the 3.5 with the plastic cover.
Yeah.
Right. Not the thing you could use for a boat sail.
We just aged ourselves again. All right. Anything else on that one? Thanks for the great question. And on the picture, Romeo Kilo, it's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
All
no,
right.
I don't.
We do our best to respond to supporter feedback and let you know when you'll be on an upcoming show. Closing out, episode 443 of Opposing Bases Air Traffic Talk. Romeo Hotel.
And Alpha Golf. Goodbye, everyone.
Drop. Opposing Bases is a listener-supported, ad-free weekly podcast. The views expressed on the show do not reflect the opinions or official positions of the FAA or Penguin Airlines. Episodes are for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace flight instruction. To get on-time access, bonus content, and full archive access, join the crew at opposingbases.supercast.com.